Very good afternoon to everyone. Myself Rohit Das from third sem Zoology department, and today I'm here to host this webinar. And today's webinar is on National Week. Today's webinar is on National Nutrition. And this webinar is organized by our students, Wellbeing and Peer Counseling Committee. And the theme of today's webinar is Feeding Smart right from the start. So before starting today's webinar, let me mention the highlights of today's webinar. So firstly, we have an invocation by Ms.Nikivi, and secondly, we have an introductory speech by Sir Peter. Thirdly, we have 7 healthy tips for college students by Ms. Imtikala. Fourthly, we have questions and answer session by Ms. Roselin, and at last, we have vote of thanks by Ms. Sumita. So without further delay, let us start today's webinar. So now I would like to give time to Ms. Nikivi.
Okay. Let me say a word of prayer. Our most precious Heavenly Father in heaven, Lord, I thank you so much for this day that you have blessed us, Lord Father. Lord Father, thank you so much for enabling us to gather here in this matter, though not physically, to start with the program, Lord Father. Lord, as we're going to start with the program, Lord Father, I pray for all the participants, Lord Father. May you use them according to your will, Lord Father, and also for our speaker, Lord Father. I pray that, Lord Father, may you use her so that this program can be a blessing and a fruitful one for each one of us. I submit the rest of our time unto you, mighty King. In Jesus' name I pray. I ask in prayer. Amen.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nikivi, for this beautiful invocation. And now I would like to give some time to Sir Peter. For his speech.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir, we can.
Good. Okay. Well, welcome to this afternoon session, the second session in this National Nutrition Week. Thank you, Ms. Sumita, for agreeing to organize this under the Student Wellbeing and Welfare Committee. And thank you to our esteemed guest, Ms. Imtikala Ao, for agreeing to join us today. I know it was I was marked down as completing a introductory speech. I don't want to be talking too much myself. I don't really know a great deal about nutrition beyond eating plenty of fruit and veg is a good thing. So I don't want to eat up too much of our time, and really I only want to come here and offer an introduction to Imtikala, who I have known for a good number of years. She studied in Edinburgh for a period of the time that I was there. This is when I first came to know her. So she did a course in biomedical science there before taking up a B.Sc in nutrition from LPU. And she went on to do a master's program, an M.Sc in nutrition for global health through the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, which is a well-renowned institution. So Imti is well-versed in all things nutrition and diet. She's gone on to spend some time recently in Delhi working as a dietitian in Max Hospital. So she is the best person I think can talk to you on these things as a young person and well connected with the latest science on health and nutrition. So I really hope that you learn some good tips. I am interested to see the 7 tips that she brings to us today. And there will be time for Q&A at the end. So I hope that you all are ready with your questions to bring to Imti at the end. I think this could be an exciting and valuable session. So thank you all again for joining, and I'll pass back to Mr. Rohit to take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your speech. And now I would like to call Ms. Imtikala for the 7 healthy tips for college students.
Hi everyone, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Hi. So thank you for inviting me for today's session. So I'll be talking about the 7 healthy tips, and I have a really fun PowerPoint for you guys. So just let me screen share for you. Are you guys seeing the screen share?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be talking about the 7 healthy eating tips for students, especially for college students. I thought that this topic was quite interesting and also easy for all of you to follow up with. It's just 7 healthy tips, and there are more, but you can start off with 7. So let's start. So the first one is eating a balanced and healthy diet. So when we hear the word diet, there's a lot of negative connotation to the word diet. We think of weight loss, and we think of all those other fad diets out there in the world. But actually, diet is just whatever we consume in our body. So what we're eating right now. So it's to follow a very balanced and healthy diet, you have to eat right to fuel your body, especially as students when we have a lot of lectures going on and we have a lot of assignments, a lot of deadlines going on. So you have to eat right to fuel your body. So a healthy diet is actually eating a balanced meal of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins in the form of food. So and to also include high fiber foods, which means foods like fruits and vegetables, which are really high fiber and really good for your health. They have a lot of good benefits, instead of junk foods or Coke, sodas, and snacks that are loaded with sugar. So my next slide, I'm going to show you a visual picture of what a carb, like a good carb and a bad carb is, or a good fat and a bad fat. Okay. Okay, so here you go. So as you can see in the picture, it's divided into 2 groups, good carbs and bad carbs. The bad carbs have a lot of things that we actually eat every day, like white rice, white pasta, white bread. But of course, it's not it's unrealistic to say that never to eat bad carbs, but I think we have to eat them, like it says in the picture, we have to eat them moderately, bad carbs, not every day, but maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, that'll be fine. But to incorporate a lot of good carbs, which is on the left, your whole carbohydrates, which are rich in fiber. So all carbs are not equal. Since you're when you're looking at this picture, so you can just tell that all carbs are not equal. So the carbohydrate family as a whole, they consist of not only starches and sugar, but also fiber. Like as you can see, there are fruits and vegetables there, which will provide you a lot of fiber. There's beans, legumes, and peas, which provides you a lot of fiber too here. And for the bad carbs, there's candies, sodas, like I've mentioned, there's pastries, sugary cereals, white bread, white rice, white pasta, everything. So I'm just going to discuss a little bit about the carbs, just an easy way to understand. So there are 2 types: simple carbs, which is this side of the simple carbs, which is carbohydrates that have single or double molecule of sugar. So these single carbs, these bad carbs, they're mostly called single carbs, and they are mostly under the term empty calories, which means they are very high in calories. So you do get a lot of calories out of this, but nutritionally, they are very low. So they're deficient in nutrition, this side of the bad carbs. Example, like I've said, and this has mentioned, it's white rice, refined sugar. There's also a thing called SSB, which is sugar sweetened beverages. So it's mostly it's mostly these sodas and juices that you get, which you think, sometimes you get in the market, you have real juice or something. But if you look back at the packaging, there will it does have a lot of sugar content in it. although they do have like a little bit of fruits, but a lot of sugar content and other preservatives. So you have to read your labeling too. So SSBs, which are sugar sweetened beverage, these are full of fructose, and fructose is a type of sugar, and it's really bad because like it kind of has an effect on your hungry hormone called the ghrelin. So that hungry hormone comes up, and it kind of like elevates that hungry hormone, which is why sugar is not really good for your health. Let's talk about the complex carbs, which is the good carbs here. So complex, just by the name, you can tell that it contains multiple sugar and sugar molecules. But if you look at the whole, like, if you look at all these pictures, you can tell that it's full of antioxidant, the complex carbs. They're full of antioxidants, minerals, and also the type of antioxidants that they have are phytochemicals, which are naturally found in them. So these vegetables, fruits and vegetables, have lots of phytochemicals in them, which is something that is not present in the simple carbs here. Example would be oatmeal, sweet potatoes, and like the picture says, legumes, a lot of legumes, beans, and peas. Yeah, okay. So the next thing I was like I mentioned, when you have to have a balanced diet, you have to have a balance of carbohydrates. We have talked about this in the last slide, and then a balance of good fat, just fats in general, but also again fats. There are two types of fats: good fats and bad fats, and proteins, right? So let's talk about the fats. So even fats, they are divided into two, like carbohydrates. So they are unsaturated fats, and they're saturated fats and trans fats. So they come together, saturated and trans fat, because they are both bad fats. So we can divide it into good fats and bad fats here. Okay. The good fats are usually like monosaturated or polysaturated fats, and they consist of olive oil, so sunflower oil, avocado oil that we have here. They have corn, nuts, seeds, and any type of like fiber-rich foods. They come under good fats, okay? And the bad fats here, as you can see, so fats and carbohydrates, they're kind of like interrelated, because you see all these like, cookies, pastries, chips, fried foods, all of this, so all of these are bad fats, which are also known as saturated fats. So these ones are mostly found in all these like junk foods that you have, and also they are found, like there is a large amount of them in like foods like beef, red meat, beef and pork, cheese, ice cream, etc., and mostly animal foods, which is why we do recommend that, like, when you're having a balanced diet, to try to minimize your red meat, as in like pork and beef. But we do love our pork and beef in Nagaland, so to try to minimize that at least once or twice a week, but not every day, because they do contain a lot of saturated fats just on its own. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the saturated fats. So there has been a study in the medical journal, which was published in 2015, which says that there is a relationship between saturated fats intake, like a high intake of saturated fats, and coronary heart disease, stroke, or cardiovascular disease. So this does affect your health with your heart health. The next thing I wanted to talk about with fats, which is a type of bad fats, is trans fat. So trans fat is something we get from all our junk foods. So all our packaged foods, everything is made out of trans fat, So trans fat is just basically heating liquid vegetable oil in the presence of hydrogen gas and a catalyst, and the whole process is called hydrogenation. So the trans fat, what it does is, why the factories or why companies use it a lot is because it kind of keeps the product from getting rancid too quickly, which means when you make a product with trans fat, it has a longer shelf life, as in the product won't get spoiled in a few months. Like, it can stay up to a year or two, like, all your biscuits and all your chips and just all your packaged items that you can stay in the shelf for at least a year or so. So all of them are made out of trans fat. These fats are really very harmful for you and for the health, because it increases your cholesterol levels, and also cholesterol levels, like, I mean, it's like a huge topic on cholesterol and everything, but I'll just tell you simply that we have two types, LDL and HDL. So the LDL is a bad one, low density lipoprotein. So the trans fat, what it does is increases the bad low density lipoprotein, and at the same time it lowers your good cholesterol, which is high density lipoprotein, and it increases your triglycerides in your body. So this is what trans fat does in your body when you consume foods with trans fat. It also creates inflammation in your body. So that causes a lot of diseases, multiple diseases, like liver, like kidney. It affects all of those organs. And also, for every additional 2% of calories that you get from trans fat that you consume daily, you increase the risk of coronary heart disease. Coronary heart disease increases by 23%. So that's a lot of increase in CVDs and heart diseases when you consume trans fat. So this fat is it's supposedly really bad for your health, and you have to take them moderately, because obviously trans fat is used in every packaging product that you can find in the market. So you do have to choose wisely what you're eating, because not all fats are bad. You might think that, oh, okay, the word fat, so it's bad. But no, there are good fats like I've mentioned here. So they're like peanut butters, avocados, and for even for vegetarian options, there's soy milk, soybean, tofu, a lot of oils like olive oil, canola, and a lot of fatty fish like omega-3s, full of omega-3s, and nuts. So these are really good. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about was protein, because it all comes down to the balanced meal of our first point, which was eating a balanced meal. So protein, including proteins in your diet is very helpful, because they help in muscle building. So proteins if we think about good proteins, we would think about chicken, lean proteins. So if you're trying to decrease your cholesterol levels, lean proteins would be like lean meat, not only chicken, but chicken breast is the leanest meat. For vegetarians, we could think about proteins like from legumes. You get a lot of protein from legumes, all your dals, all your chickpeas, all your choles, all of that. You get a lot of protein from that. A lot of protein comes even from your nuts, almonds, walnuts. And if you do like fish, then you do get good amount of protein from there too. So that's your first point. The second tip would be add a serving of vegetable or a fruit to every meal. So this is a very easy tip, which is to add at least one fruit or a vegetable to whatever you're eating, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, or even a snack. This is a way to get all your nutritional intake in your meals. So an example would be if you're having breakfast, you could add slices of fruits on top, or nuts or raisins. What I like to do is I make oatmeal, so I add slices of bananas on top and just a little bit of honey if I need a little bit more sugar, but I don't, because the banana is already sweet, right? So yeah, you can add raisins, you can add nuts to your oatmeal. Even for lunch, you can have a side salad. It doesn't have to be fancy. A salad just could be you could have cucumbers and carrots cut together, and you could have that next to your meal, or you could have shredded carrots, or if you have some steamed vegetables like broccoli or mustard leaves or something. So it doesn't have to be all fancy with your salad. So and yeah, and fruits and vegetables, just to add them to your meal. Fruits and vegetables are also a very good mid-afternoon snack for you. If you're wanting to have chips or wanting to have chocolates or some sort of packaged foods or something like that. Instead, you could reach out for fruits and vegetables. Example, apples and bananas with a teaspoon of peanut butter. That tastes really amazing. You could also have carrot sticks, as in like just cut carrots and have it with dips like hummus. Hummus is basically just like chickpea dip, like grinded chickpea with some olive oil, or just like, on its own when you're watching something, when you're watching TV or when you're studying, you could have all of that. You could reach out for your fruits and vegetables more than your snacks. So this is another tip you can do so that you're having a balanced meal throughout the day. So the next one I have is to add in more calcium sources. So calcium, as you know, I've like stated here, calcium is a very essential mineral for the body because it helps the body with blood clotting. It helps with muscle and nerve functioning. It gives us really healthy teeth and bones. It helps with bone mineralization. And, in fact, you are building up bone mass until you reach about 30 years of age. And then after that, it does get tougher to add calcium to the bones. So up till 30, you should take as much calcium as possible. The most common source of calcium, I think all of us know, is milk and dairy products. These are the most common source of calcium, but actually there are other sources of calcium too. So if you're lactose intolerant, which means you're allergic to milk, or you just don't prefer dairy products, then there are other sources like dark green leafy vegetables. So like just leaves that are really dark green, or like spinach or mustard greens or broccoli, all of that are really high in calcium. Nuts and seeds are very high too, and other milk alternatives, which are also high in calcium. I'll just talk about that in the other slide. Okay, so the other milk alternatives that we can get nowadays in the market is soy milk. But even with soy milk, you have to find a company that does enriched with calcium. So soy milk on its own wouldn't give you this much of calcium as soy milk enriched with calcium. So you can see that soy milk enriched with calcium with 200 ml is like you get about 240 mg of calcium, which is quite good enough. Almond milk, it doesn't have to be enriched, and you'll get 90 mg of calcium. There's broccoli, where you can get a good amount of calcium, and almonds, which gives you 74 mg of calcium. So basically for an adult, 19 to about 50 or 60 years, I think 19 to about 55 years old, you need about 700 mg of calcium. So of course, like we cannot really intake that much of calcium in a day. So then we take the help of like supplements, calcium supplements we can take the help of. And when we're taking calcium supplement, it is very, very important to take it with a vitamin D supplement, because that together, it increases the absorption of calcium in our body. So it's very important to take calcium supplement with vitamin D, which would increase its absorption level. Let's talk about the next one, which is the most important and the most inexpensive tip I can give you is drink more water. Water is very inexpensive. You don't have to buy, it's not that expensive. It's not juice, it's not smoothie, it's just water. We forget how water is so important for our body. Water is extremely essential because it helps us boost our energy, and it helps us hydrate ourselves. It also helps us regulate our body temperature. So like our body loses a lot of water when we sweat, especially in this humid weather, in hot environment. So the sweat keeps our body cool, but our body temperature will go up and down if we don't drink enough water, because we're losing water. So we should hydrate more. So we should drink more inside. So the lack of water can cause us like dehydration, which also causes us with which also we can get like dizziness, or we get headaches, because especially during the summertime, because we're not hydrated enough. So it's very important to hydrate yourself so that it regulates our body temperature. It also helps us in digestion and detoxification, because our bodies, especially with detoxification, like we sweat, you know, we go, urinate, or we pass healthy bowel movements, and this is all because of water, you know, and this helps us like detoxify our body and whatever you know, toxic waste that is there in our body. So if you don't have enough water, this is not going to happen properly. So we have to drink enough water, so it helps our kidney to work more efficiently also, and at the same time it prevents us from kidney stones. It also helps deliver important nutrients to to all of our muscle cells, and it also helps with postponing the muscle fatigue in our body. And it, like I mentioned before, it boosts our energy levels, because drinking water actually helps us boost our metabolic rate. So this boost is very positive for our energy levels. So about 500, like, you know, even about 500 ml of water can boost the metabolic rate by 30% in both, like, you know, both male and female. So this is one of the studies that I will link below in the sources section, so you can read it yourself. So even 500 ml can boost your metabolic rate to up to 30%, which means it's energy boosting water. So staying hydrated is very important. And finally, it keeps your skin glowing and hydrated. So, you know, if you want that good skin, I think you have to drink more water, and about 3 liters of water is a good amount of water to drink in a day, especially when it's this humid and in this weather. The next one that I will talk to you about. Okay, so trying new things. So you might think, what does this mean? Some of us are quite picky eaters. So, you know, we don't like to eat this, we don't like to eat that vegetable. I mean, sometimes we try it and we don't like it, so that's fine. But at times we don't even try it, but we just look at it and we're like, I don't think we're gonna like that because I hear it's bitter, I hear it's too sour, you know. So you have to be more adventurous with our food. It doesn't mean that you have to force feed yourself with something that you don't want to eat, but trying. Like, you know, the first step is trying new foods, like at least try. How would you know if you like it or not if you don't try, you know? So trying new foods is very important. It's also very important because it gives you a variety of foods to eat in your daily like meals. Because example, if you just like rice and bread, it's a really boring food, like just to eat every single day. If you're not going to try, like, you know, whole grain pastas, if you're not going to try like broccoli or vegetables, then, you know, it just makes your whole meal look really bland, and it doesn't give you a good nutrition in your body. So it is very important to try and be adventurous with your food, so that it gives you a good variety of foods to choose from when you want to make good decisions for your food and for your nutrition intake. A very easy way to do this is, you know, sometimes you can go, like, you know, when you're going for your grocery shopping, or when you're going out, or when you're at somebody else's house and they offer you something, before you say no, before you say, I don't like this, I don't like that, I hear it's bitter, so I don't think I'll like it. Before you say, I don't think I like it, I think you should first try the food and then see if you can incorporate that in your meals, because you never know, you might just end up liking it. My next thing is, okay, so having healthy snacks in your hostel and your room. So good healthy snacks can be a very good way to get all your nutritional requirements for your daily nutritional requirements, because we cannot eat too much of lunch, we cannot eat too much of breakfast, you know. So having that snack time is good, but choosing the snack is very important for us. Choosing the right snack is very important for us. Especially as students, you know, you have a long day of lectures, and you have a long day of university and a long day of classes, and then you come back and you just want to, you know, have something easy, something simple. So, you know, you need to stock up your room, or wherever you are, in your hostel or in your PG, you need to stock up with like some good healthy snacks. Because if you only have like biscuits, if you only have noodles, if you only have chips, then of course you're going to reach out only for that. But if you have like a box of nuts, or you have like loads of like fresh fruits and vegetables around, then you'll reach out for that more. So to kind of like stock up your kitchen, your hostel room with healthy snacks is very important, so that you're not tempted. Why I say that eating ramen noodles once in a while is fine. You know, it's unrealistic to say that you can never have ramen noodles, you can never have chips, you know, but once in a while, moderately, it's fine. But to have it every day, it's really bad for your health, because like I've mentioned before, that they have a longer shelf life because they use trans fats, and they use a lot of preservatives, and they also have, like, you know, they're also very high in sugar, and they add fats, a lot of fats and preservatives. So this is really bad for your health, you know, and it also is very bad for your mood, and it's really bad, like, you know, just for your hunger pangs. It'll just satisfy you for like a few minutes, but after that you'll again get hungry, you know. So instead, choosing like complex carbs, I know it sounds boring, but choosing like oats, making it a bit more fun by adding like, you know, nuts or fruits, or choosing like a bowl of nuts, or, you know, roasted chickpeas. All of that would be better than going for ramen noodles, or like, you know, just any chips or candy bars. So there's some that you can try instead of these like chips and all these packaged foods. So you can try snacks like roasted chickpeas, like I mentioned, popcorn too, like, you know, not the butter popcorn, because they do have a lot of butter and a lot of salt. So if you could get hold of, you know, the plain popcorn, it's really good as a snack option. Nuts and seeds, is very good too. And also with nuts and seeds, if you keep them in a good temperature, then it lasts you for months or even weeks, you know. And if you put them in a good container, so it will stay in your hostel room for at least a few months, you know. So it's not something that you have to finish like in a day, because even nuts and seeds, like everything moderately you have to eat. Even though I'm saying like all these things are good for you, I'm not saying that eat like about a packet of like almonds. Okay, that becomes really bad for you, you know. For an adult, about 6 pieces of almonds is good enough a day, you know. So I'm just saying that even though I'm saying these are good foods, these are bad foods, these are good carbs, bad carbs, doesn't mean that just because these are good carbs, you're going to eat like the whole day full of like this 3-4 bowls of the same thing, you know. That kind of defeats the purpose. But you have to have limit, and you have to have portion size of these snacks too. So rice crackers, you get a lot nowadays, you get a lot of that in the shops. Dried fruits, which are really good for your health too. They do have a lot of like, they do have higher intake of sugar than the normal, like, you know, like the fresh fruits, but they do have a lot of like vitamins and minerals too. So a little bit of dried fruits would be good. Whole grain crackers that you get in the shops, which are really good, with peanut butter, you can add a teaspoon of peanut butter, and that would be a good snack for you. A lot of fresh fruits also would be good if you keep a lot of fresh fruits in your hostel room. So yeah, these are the healthy snacks you can add into your hostel room. Before this, I had, so I had the final point, a final tip was, for some people, I think most of the college students, you're living in hostels or PGs, or, you know, just on your own. So to start like a dinner, like, you know, to start like a roommate dinner club or something is very helpful too, if you don't like cooking much, and if you think that you're always eating like you always end up eating YY or Maggie for dinner and not a proper meal, then even finding a group of friends that are in the same PG or the same hostel, and, you know, if you have a kitchen, then you can kind of like ask your friends that let's divide each day of the week, and one of us can cook and one of us can bring salad. And what I'm saying is, like, when we think about salad, we think about like really fancy salads, but it doesn't have to be that fancy, you know. Grated carrots, grated cucumbers, that's good enough, you know. With a little bit of olive oil, you're good to go. You know, that's a good salad. To have that sort of like community, to kind of like keep in track with what you're eating. If you have really like, if you're living with a close friend, you can kind of divide your days and be like, okay, today I cook, you bring the salad, tomorrow you can make something with you know, whole grains or something nice, and I'll bring the salad. So, you know, to do that, it kind of helps you as a college student to monitor your meals and to, you know, avoid just eating junk all day, all night, to avoid like, you know, eating junk even for dinner. Because as I have said before, that it is very harmful for your health, because it does increase your cholesterol levels, and it kind of, it really messes up with your mood swings and even your sleep routine and even your studying. Like, you know, it does, like if you have a good amount of nuts and good amount of fats and good fats and, you know, good amount of food that are nutritionally rich, they do help with your brain improvement, they do help with your memory, they do help with your mood swings, everything, you know. So this is very important. The last one that I wanted to show you was this. So this, I got it from, as you see, I've mentioned it. You get it from I got it from the Harvard School of Public Health. So this is generally a really good plate. This is supposed to be a plate, right? And this is what your meals are supposed to look like. Of course, like not everybody can have the perfect meal. It's unrealistic to be like, oh, you know, every day I'll have this. But, you know, to make it a goal to have something like this is very important. So water here, so you have to limit your, you know, drink water, but limit your coffee with, because a lot of our coffees come with a lot of sugar. If you're going to have like, you know, milk coffee, it's with a lot of dairy and sugar, which also adds up to your calories and also adds up to your, you know, sugar intake in a day. So to have this, drink water, right? This is your plate should be like this with whole grains. So eat a variety of whole grains as in we have like nowadays we have in the market, we have whole grain pasta made out of like, you know, whole grains, and also you have brown rice. You can limit, like I said, it doesn't really say no, don't eat any white rice, nothing, but it uses that word limit. So that means eat moderately, you know. This is unrealistic. Again, I'm saying it's unrealistic to say that you can never have white rice, you can never have like, you know, trans fat. It always says limit your intake, you know, limit your intake of refined grains like white rice and white bread. Then healthy protein, a good chunk of your plate should have a healthy protein, like if you're non-vegetarian, so fish, poultry, you know, poultry as in chicken breast. If you're again looking out for your cholesterol levels, then make it leaner by using chicken breast, you know. For vegetarians, it would be beans and legumes and nuts, like all your dals, chanas, like I've mentioned before. Even cheese is a good, so if you're having sandwiches, then you can put like brown bread with like a slice of cheese, a bit of bacon, but not too much, because you have to avoid, because bacon also is like, you know, processed meat and it has a lot of salt. So a little bit of that, or even like steamed chicken in your sandwiches, you know. So that makes up half of your plate of healthy proteins, and a little bit of your plate of fruits. So you can add your fruits here. So it's like 1 or 2 servings of fruits. Like if you're having apples, so 1 apple, you know. If you're having a banana, so a banana. A big chunk of your plate should have vegetables. Vegetables are very important because, like I said before, it's high in fiber, very high in fiber. So it would help you with your digestion, with your a lot with your digestion, and even with your bowel movement. And it also gives you a lot of fiber for, you know, your optimal health. So vegetables, all sorts of vegetables are good enough, you know. Broccoli, what do we get nowadays? We get a lot of broccoli, we get a lot of mustard leaves, we get spinach, we get raw carrots, we get cucumbers, you know. You can add all of that. Also, like one tip is like if you are wanting to eat steamed vegetables, I think in the last session also I did mention steamed vegetables. It is actually it's recommended that you steam your vegetables only for about 5 to 7 minutes or not more than that, because if you steam your vegetables, example, for about 20 minutes or even 10 minutes, you're losing all the nutrients because it's evaporating, or it's like, just in the water. So, try to steam your vegetables for only about 5 to 7 minutes, and that's good enough. It's crunchy, it's good, it's green, and that's what you need. Yeah. Also, making this whole thing with like good oils. So your good oils are these are readily available in the market, like olive oil, canola oil, sunflower oil. Nowadays you have avocado oil, but if you cannot get hold of avocado oil and all of that, olive oil is good. You get a lot of sunflower oil all over the market, so that's good. You need to avoid trans fats. Trans fats like just like all those packaged foods that I've been talking about. So you need to avoid that. So this is actually a healthy eating plate. And this is something that we need to have a goal. Like, we need to try to have something like this every single day. Of course, we're not going to have of course, we don't have time for this every single day, but we should try to do this at least 5 or 6 times a week, and then one day of the week you can have a little bit of a little bit of cheat meal, a little bit of chips, a little bit of this pasta that is not refined, that is refined pasta or something like that. But this is the way balanced diet is supposed to be. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Yeah, and these are the sources. And I did mention one more that I will let you know about the relationship of saturated fats with cholesterol and triglycerides. So that I will link down below before I hand it in. But yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about. It's easy, 7 healthy eating tips for students. It's really all about you just need to know what to choose, what not to choose, and what to eat moderately, what to kind of avoid, not to have every single day, but you can have it once a week, because it's, again, it's not possible never to have it. So I'm sure you will have it once a week, twice a week, that's fine, but not every single day. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah, so that was the end of my presentation. I hope all of you learned something. I hope some of the tips were helpful. If you have any more questions, you can ask at the end, because there's a question and answer session. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss, for the 7 tips that you have shared with us today. And from now on, we will surely try to implement these tips. And now, I would like to give some time to Ms. Roselin for a question and answer session.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the time. Now we shall have a time of Q&A session. So if any participants have any questions or queries, time is open for discussion. You can either unmute yourself or drop the questions in the comment section. So participants, if you have any questions, you can ask now. Anyone have any questions? Yes, participants.
Okay, so I have a question to ask to sort of
Okay.
break the ice for everybody here.
All
So
right.
what I'm intending to ask was, since our resource person mentioned a little bit about having everything with limit, in a sense that even if they are good carbohydrates or even if they are good fats, so on and so forth, we need to have those with limits. So my question is, what is the ideal? What should be the ideal caloric intake for a person in a day? I hope my question is making sense.
Hi.
Hi, Miss.
Hi. Okay, so thank you for your question. That is a very important question. Usually, the calorie intake actually depends on your BMI, so your body mass index, and also if a person is active or not active. But in general, a sedentary, let's just take a sedentary person, so somebody who works in the office, right? So a calorie intake for a male and a woman, for a male and a female is totally different. Calorie intake usually for a woman is about 2,000 calories a day, and for a man is about 2,500 calories in a day. So we need to limit ourselves to that calories. But then again, it depends on if the person is physically active or not. There's so many things that come under this, like, to kind of calculate your calorie intake. But generally, it is 2,000 for a woman and 2,500 for a man. It was actually 1,000 and 1,500, but they had a revised version just 3 years back. So yeah, I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you. Sure.
Any more questions from anyone?
Hello?
Yes. Yeah,
Hi.
yes, Miss.
I just
Yeah.
also wanted to add, like, of course, this is just a general, like the person, somebody asked about the calorie intake right now, right? So it's
Okay.
a general thing. But if, your example, you're trying to lose weight, then your calorie intake would be less again, because this is just a general, like, example, 2,000 for women. But if you want to lose weight, then you will try to minimize your calorie intake to 1,500 or even 1,000. Yeah. So yeah, that all depends on what you're doing, what your lifestyle is, what your goal is. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Any more questions? No questions from the participant side. Okay. If there are no more questions, thank you, Ms. Imti, for clarifying all the queries. And we truly appreciate you taking the time to talk about the tips to stay healthy, which
Yeah.
is very important for all in our day-to-day lives. So
Yeah.
thank you once again. And with that, I hand over the rest of the program to the chairperson.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss, for this wonderful question and answer session. And now, at last, but not the least, I would like to call Ma'am Sumita for her vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rohit, for the time. Okay, I would like to first thank the audience. Sometimes, when the vote of thanks is given, audience is sometimes taken as the last person who is thanked. But I would start with thanking the audience because this program was arranged within a very short period of time, and it still managed to gather the attention of so many of the people, thanks to a very relevant topic. So thank you everyone for joining. I would also like to thank the administration for giving our committee, Students Wellbeing Peer Counseling Committee, the chance to organize this event. Thank you, Ms. Imtikala Ao, for giving us your time and talking about a topic which is very important, but I feel sometimes it is equally ignored. Nutrition is very important for us, but we just take our health not so seriously, and we ignored our diet also. So thank you for reminding us how important it is for us to take care of our health and pay more attention to our diet. And you gave us very simple tips, which I feel every one of us can incorporate in our life. Thank you, Sir Opong, for handling the technical part of the event. Thank you, peer counselors, for always being there to help out. Thank you, Ms. Roselin, part of the committee, for always being there and taking part of the responsibility of organizing events. And lastly, although he is not here present among us, our principal, who has been the guiding force of this committee, I hope we continue to get his guidance. So, yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you all for joining today.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your vote of thanks. So now, at last, I would like to thank all of you for taking part in this webinar and making this webinar a successful one. So once again, thank you all of you, and may we all have a blessed day ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, miss.
Thank you.